It is time for one final deep dive into the South Carolina Republican presidential primary. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back again with a new video, and today it is time that we have one final deep dive into the South Carolina primary and what to exactly watch out for tonight. Now, before we continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow my social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Again, folks, all support is greatly appreciated, and yeah. Now let's get right into it and discuss what are some of the key things to watch out for tonight in the state of South Carolina. 20 years ago, Nikki Haley ran an upstart campaign to topple a heavily favored longtime incumbent who was a force in party politics, launching her political career and setting the stage for her gubernatorial run 6 years later. But this time, the voters in the district and county she represented as a state legislator don't think she's on the verge of pulling off another upset when she goes up against Donald Trump on Saturday. Dave Molden, an unaffiliated voter from Lexington who is voting for Haley just to try and screw Trump over, said he expects that Trump wave is going to be like a tsunami. Which this statement alone should tell you everything about Nikki Haley's campaign. She's not winning actual conservatives. She's not winning Republicans. She is winning never Trump, quote unquote, Republicans and these, quote, unaffiliated voters that are just Democrats. I mean, their entire motive is vote Haley to screw Trump. Gee, I wonder how they're going to vote in the general election. They're not voting because they like Haley. They just want to mess with Trump even more. Indeed, on Monday, the local GOP came out and endorsed Trump days ahead of the state's Republican primary. The Republicans of Lexington County made it clear that they support President Trump in the first in the South primary and wanted to make their voices heard. Lexington County GOP Chair Mark Weber said in a statement, "Our party and our committees are taking a proactive stance in tackling the issues of today, and they decided that we must coalesce behind Donald John Trump to end the destruction of the Biden administration as soon as possible." That is right. Lexington County, the county that Nikki Haley represented in the state legislature, endorsed Trump. What does that tell you about Nikki Haley and how popular she is in South Carolina, despite being the former governor of the state? Clearly, a lot has changed here in the 2 decades since Haley unseated State Representative Larry Kuhn, who at the time was the longest-serving member of the state house. Those changes mirror Trump's takeover of the GOP across the state and much of the country. In 2016, Trump won his primary bid in Lexington County by about 6 points over Ted Cruz in a more crowded field. This time around, it will be a challenge for Haley to even get close to that margin against Trump, even as the favorite daughter not only of that state, but of that county. There are old friends that she has in Lexington County who will turn out and remember the results that she delivered for them in the state house, both as a legislator and as a governor. Rob Godfrey, a Republican strategist and former deputy chief of staff to Haley when she was governor, said, "But like in many other parts of the state that are deeply conservative, she faces a strong challenge, which is to try to peel off voters who have become comfortable voting Donald Trump for president." Lexington County, one of the state's fastest growing areas, has become one of the most formidable GOP strongholds in the state, providing Republican candidates with large vote totals and margins of victory. In 2020, Trump bested Joe Biden here by 20 points. It's become a county to watch on primary nights, doubly so this time around with its close ties to Haley. It's an absolutely important county that has become even more important over the last few election cycles, Godfrey said, adding, "Lexington should be a part of that group of bellwether counties across the state." Haley's roots in the area are clear. She won her last statewide bid in Lexington County by 32 points back in 2014. And a high number of her endorsers have ties to this area, including State Representative Nathan Ballentine. So in other words, this campaign has put a lot of effort into Lexington County, which, for 2 reasons. One, there are a lot of Republican votes in this county. There just is. But number 2, and this is probably more important, she's from Lexington, or at least she represented this area in the state legislature. It would be a total embarrassment if she lost statewide by a lot, but also lose her home county. I mean, you're talking about a double whammy. It's like, okay, if you lose the state, at least you won Lexington. If she loses both, despite this, quote, strong support, that's not good for her. At that point, how do you spin that? I'm expecting her to have a decent showing and a good showing. I'm not expecting her to win, but in the same vein, if I woke up tomorrow and she ended up winning that county, it wouldn't be a total surprise. Moving forward, Malden saw Trump's literal demise as Haley's only pathway to the nomination, which that might not even be enough. Because even if Trump, let's say, gets thrown in jail and drops out or something, the convention would pick the candidate, and I doubt they would go with Haley. They would more than likely go with someone like DeSantis. I'm 100% serious. DeSantis would probably be the nominee. They were not going to go with Nikki Haley, because at least even the RNC knows, yeah, Nikki Haley would get absolutely crushed. At least DeSantis is kind of liked by Trump voters still. Nikki Haley isn't. In addition to how Lexington County votes, here are some other things to watch on primary night. So, of course, the first thing everyone wants to know is the statewide margin. Polling shows Trump leading by 20 plus percentage points across the state. But there is a wild card at play that could cut in those margins. Crossover voters. So, in my humble opinion, Trump, if he wins by over 20, that kills any shot of any Nikki Haley momentum. Let alone wins by 10. I think 20, though, just knocks her out of the race completely. I think she's already out. But if Trump wins by 20 to 30, I don't know how you spin that. Because 10 points, you might win a congressional district or something crazy. But 20 to 30 points, you can't spin that. And again, Nikki Haley's strategy has been get these Democrats to vote for me. Not Republicans, mind you, Democrats. Hell, Haley allies have targeted left-leaning voters who did not participate in the February 3rd Democratic primary with appeals to vote for Haley on Saturday. A recent mailer obtained by NBC News that was sent to a Democrat voter who did not vote in the party's presidential primary earlier this month read, "Your vote can make a difference. Please participate by voting for Nikki Haley and making your voice heard." The mailer sent by pro-Haley super PAC Stand for America, Inc. continued. So, yeah, that's her entire strategy. Not just, independents or unaffiliated voters. That's one thing. But you're openly targeting Democrats or left-leaning independents that are basically just Democrats? That's your strategy in South Carolina? One of the most conservative states in the country? What's more, the Democratic primary featured a relatively low turnout, with just about 130,000 voters casting ballots, leaving plenty of voters on the table for Saturday's GOP primary. That primary is open, allowing for any registered voter to participate unless they cast a ballot in the Democratic contest this month. But the problem for Haley's strategy with if we lose by 5 because of crossover votes, we're good. The problem with this thinking is, A, you still lose the state. You're not going to win. I don't see any pathway for that. But number 2, even if a bunch of these Democrats voted, this isn't like New Hampshire where those, quote, independents are far left. The independents in South Carolina are far more conservative. South Carolina as a whole is a way more conservative state, about like 25 points more Republican than New Hampshire. So the strategy may have made the margin in New Hampshire closer. I doubt you see that in South Carolina. But it still will be big to see. Will there be a bunch of Democrats that just show up to vote, not for Haley, just to spite Orange Man? In addition to Lexington County, pay close attention to the results along the coastline, from Hilton Head Island up to Myrtle Beach to the north, with Charleston and its surrounding communities in between. Those areas have some of the highest concentrations of transplant voters and encapsulates the entirety of South Carolina's most purple congressional district, represented by Nancy Mace, who has been vigorously campaigning for Trump in recent weeks. I wouldn't really call it purple. It's like a Trump plus, 12 district? Which I know, compared to South Carolina's other districts outside the Democrat seat, it is more competitive. But Trump should still easily win this district. It probably will be closer than the rest of the state will be because it is more competitive. If Haley's going to cut into Trump's margins, she's going to especially need to do well in the Charleston area, stretching south to Beaufort and Hilton Head Island. Meanwhile, Horry County, home of Myrtle Beach, has been a source of strength for Trump in the state since his first run in 2016. Yeah, Myrtle Beach, Trump won that by like 50 back in 2016's primary. So he's going to do fine in Myrtle Beach. The question is, what happens in, say, Charleston? Should Trump overperform here? It would signal new strength among voters who identify as being more in the middle. I wouldn't go that far to say that, but if Trump is doing good enough in Charleston, yeah. Myrtle Beach, on the other hand, that's kind of expected. Charleston, though, if he's doing really good there, maybe there's some signs that these independents are actually breaking for Trump. With Trump holding such a commanding lead, not just in South Carolina, but in most states that have been polled, the dynamics of Saturday's primary are vastly different than 2016's. But what could that mean for voter turnout? In 2020, the South Carolina GOP canceled its primary to help Trump's re-election bid, and in 2016, nearly 740,000 people came out to vote in the GOP nominating contest. That 2016 number was massive. If turnout goes about, say, like 850 to 900,000, that would be incredible, former South Carolina GOP Executive Director Alex Stroman said. And I think it could potentially reach that. Now, we are talking about a virtually uncontested primary here. I understand that, but there are two factors at play here. One, we've seen record turnout in New Hampshire this cycle. I mean, we saw a lot of people vote, and that was with Democrats voting, of course. Here, you're probably going to see quite a bit of Democrats vote. Will it be enough for Haley to win? No. But I guarantee you there will be like 100,000 Democrats that just vote in this primary to screw with Trump. So if we say 100,000, and let's say 740,000 voted for sure, that's what, 850,000 about? I could see that happening. I think turnout will be very good in the state, just in part because of Democrats, but I think Trump is getting his voters out. I mean, you're talking about New Hampshire, and there's a lot of voters that voted, and yeah, a lot of Democrats voted. That was Haley's entire strategy. But also a bunch of Republicans voted. So I think combining those two factors, you will probably see turnout be 850,000, potentially. Again, with the legitimate possibility that a bunch of Democrats are going to vote, you have to expect some kind of record turnout. At least you would assume so. Unless a bunch of Republicans just don't vote. Will that happen? I doubt it. But if a bunch of Democrats are willing to vote against Trump, I highly doubt that the Republicans are just going to sit home. Because if you're so excited to vote against Orange Man, you're telling me you're not excited to vote for him? Either way, there are a lot of questions about South Carolina, like what will the margin be? What's the turnout going to be? But no matter what, I think we can all agree that Trump is more than likely going to win the South Carolina primary by quite a bit. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Thank you so much. Godspeed to all of you.